You're listening to ESOPOD, the Foliance ESOP podcast. Hey everybody, thanks for coming on ESOPOD, the Foliance ESOP podcast. I am Sean Hoy, and today I'm joined by the Manager of Brand Initiatives at the Gazette, Quinn Pettifer.
Hello.
Quinn, thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me, Sean. And I got to say, I've been practicing saying ESOP pod. How many times have you been? I mean, it rolls off so naturally for you. And I love the title. It's such a cool play on words, but
Thanks.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So I've known you and worked with you for quite a while, but some other people might not. Can you go into maybe who you are, how long you've been with the company, and what you actually do?
Absolutely. Yeah. So when I'm not, bugging the IT folks for, whatever I've done to my laptop or computer, I'm the manager of brand initiatives. And I've been with the Gazette for over 10 years, almost 10 and a half years now. Started in the news division as a community outreach manager, which was a very new position, not only for the Gazette, but for the newspaper industry overall. Just as a way to be a liaison and a connector to the things that were happening in Eastern Iowa, not as a reporter, but as a person that could get a little bit of a deeper understanding of what the issues were, bring them to our news division and talk through how we could incorporate that into our reporting and our coverage. And from there, I have had a couple of different titles, but to date, I'm manager of brand initiatives, which means I get to represent what the Gazette story is and how we represent and position ourselves in the community and living out our brand promise and being a proud member of Foliance and being an ESOP employee. So I have a few different roles. The events team works with me. I get to help them with event strategy. So the events that we produce, like Festival of Trees, Iowa Ideas, we have about 30 events every year. I get the privilege of working with that amazing team. I also work with several other folks on developing marketing and promotional strategy, not just for our events, but for all the products and services that we offer at the Gazette, and making sure we talk about messaging and creative and just being consistent with our look and how we're putting ourselves out there, and making sure that audiences know who we are, what we do, and how we can provide what they need. I also oversee our philanthropic programs. So we're going to get into a little bit of that later, I think, the community outreach and engagement. And certainly it's part of our civic duty, but it's also a really amazing way to build great connections. We've had some really amazing opportunities through that branch of what I do. And then finally, as I mentioned, I'm still a community liaison that works with the news division, the sales team, kind of across departments. I get the privilege of representing the Gazette in a few different ways throughout the community.
Sounds like you are pretty busy.
Busy. It's a busy time of year too. You'll notice the event, the Gazette canopy tent in the back. So my office looks like just an explosion of tables and sunglasses, and we're out and about a lot this time of year. We sponsor a variety of things. A lot of them happen to take place over summer, so there's no sense in putting it away because we'll just be getting it out again. So yes, but it's great. It's awesome.
So you mentioned you had a few programs that you wanted to talk about. What are those, and how long have those kind of been around for?
Yeah, collectively we have a piece. Actually, our impact report just came out, so if you haven't had a chance to check that out, you absolutely should. There is a section that's devoted to it that's called We Give Back. And it really helps summarize the variety of ways that we, as a company, are able to support and to recognize a need and align what we provide and the things that we have at the Gazette that match different audience needs throughout the community. Literacy, obviously, being a huge piece of that, being a company that presents information to people every day that helps them live their best life and be successful. We want to make sure that everybody has access to what's happening in their world. Also, the ability to have support for those human and social service organizations that provide so much for our employees, for our readers, for the community in general. So there's four different areas that we have. First being Gazette Gives Back, which is an amazing program that has been around for a few years now. And it is a annual class of human and social service nonprofits that are selected through an application process. And from the application process, 41 nonprofits are selected to receive advertising credits, free advertising credits. Collectively this year, we've given away over $500,000 in free advertising credit. It's a substantial number, but it is extremely helpful for these nonprofits to be able to share their message, their mission, raise awareness about the services that they provide. So there's a lot of fun in getting the class together, having them socialize, go to workshops. We lead some really incredible conversations with members of those nonprofits. We get to know them throughout the year. We just launched a podcast, Get to Know Gives Back. That's a lot of fun. So I get to chat with each nonprofit and dig a little deeper about their story and what they provide. So Gazette Gives Back is certainly one of those that is probably one of the largest philanthropic programs that we have. I say philanthropic, but it's also very much an initiative that builds and bonds the Gazette with the human and social service sector of the community. So it really is a win-win. And everybody really appreciates not only the advertising credits, but the ability to connect with each other and to learn a variety of different things that we have at our gatherings and workshops.
I saw that is pretty much entirely like reader driven too, like how that split is done. That's pretty cool.
It is. It's a lot of fun. So in marketing world, with like my marketing hat on, it's really cool. The nonprofits are selected usually in October of the end of the year, and we have a really cool voting program that starts Thanksgiving Day and runs until December 31st. People can submit paper ballots or they can vote online for their favorite nonprofit. So if you're a reader, you get one vote. If you're not a subscriber, you can still vote and get one vote and choose your favorite nonprofit. If you're a subscriber, you get 5 votes. And it is so much fun to watch the playful competition of the nonprofits trying to encourage people to vote for them. So we obviously have a lot of fun with the marketing campaign throughout, but then the nonprofits that are selected, they take it and run. They're encouraging their board members' families, volunteers, everybody under the sun to vote for them. And at the end of the year, the end of the voting campaign, we have that $500,000 of advertising credits to use. And depending upon how many votes each nonprofit gets, that's how we divvy out how much in advertising credit. But the cool thing is, and I think why so many nonprofits have fun with it, nobody loses, right? I mean, everybody gets something. If nobody voted for your nonprofit, you are still going to get a very healthy advertising budget to be able to promote your events, promote your mission and your services. We never let anybody flounder in that sense. So it's a lot of fun.
Okay, so even if they don't get actual votes, just because they were selected, they do get some credit.
Absolutely. Okay. Yep, I make sure of that. So
how are the nonprofits actually selected to participate in the program?
That's a great question. Last year we had over 100 applicants, so it was a very intense process. We look at their mission, what they offer. We look at the audience that they serve. We try to strike a really strong balance amongst need and what the services that they provide, the audiences that they serve, geographic location, and the size of the nonprofit. Certainly, we want to be there for our larger nonprofits that have been around for a long time. But the cool part about this program is we also have those smaller nonprofits that are kind of grassroots, just starting out, first couple of years in, and they learn so much in that year, being able to connect with some of the larger nonprofits that maybe have more resources than they do. They're able to connect and brainstorm ideas like, hey, I was thinking about this as a fundraiser. Has that ever worked for you? So it's a really great, it's a very difficult, challenging process. I am very grateful I'm not part of the selection committee. I just collect the applications and get the group together, but it's an intense process. It's not just a 10-minute, 15-minute conversation. It's a couple of hours, and it's a lot of homework of reviewing every application accordingly.
Do you know how much that program has grown since it started? Like, what did you have the first year you ran
Yeah, so
Gazette Gives
the
Back?
program's been around for about 8 years now. And when it first started, it was not an application process. There was a core group of nonprofits that the Gazette would work with, and just to help be consistent in what we were doing and what we were providing for those core nonprofits, we had this program that was created, and then word kept getting out. And obviously, as we're wanting to try to grow our support for more nonprofits, we wanted to make sure that it was something that was accessible to everybody and not just the people that typically works with us. And so we did open it up, that I think it was year 3 or 4 that we opened it up as an application process. And we also opened up the number. So we jumped from, I believe it started out as about 25 nonprofits, and then it jumped to now 40. We feel like 41 we have because there's one organization that has a Lynn County chapter and a Johnson County chapter. So they kind of share their spot. But 40 is enough that we have a nice diverse group of nonprofits, but it's small enough that with the $500,000 in advertising credits, everybody can still get a very healthy advertising schedule and be able to network and really build those relationships. So we also have grown in terms of sponsor support. So we're really fortunate to have great community partners that just absolutely love this program. Collins Community Credit Union has been our sponsor for the last few years. They're amazing to work with. They get it. They love being able to be that champion for nonprofits. So we're really very lucky that we not only have internally the support and the recognition of what an important program this is for the community, but also the community is obviously seeing it as well.
You said geographics was part of the selection process. How wide does that reach?
Yeah,
And is it just Eastern Iowa? Is it bigger, closer than that?
it is Eastern Iowa. So we tend to promote it through our platforms. And so our readers that are typically Eastern Iowa are usually the ones that respond. We have a lot of Lynn County and Johnson County nonprofits, but as the program has grown over time, it's been really cool to see like Benton County. We've had, a couple, Washington County. We've had a couple of outsiders that are still the corridor, the region, that are outside of our typical Lynn and Johnson core. But still, to date, most of the nonprofits exist in Lynn and Johnson County. But another growth point is that a lot of the nonprofits that, even though they geographically exist in one of those counties, their service is throughout Eastern Iowa and sometimes the state, which is really cool. I mean, it's helping out on a whole new level.
Awesome. Let's see. I know another one you have is Love Your Library.
Yes. So this is a little new. It's about 2-3 years now that we've had this program, and it stemmed from our commitment to literacy. Obviously, again, being in the industry that we're in, access to information and literacy is of great importance to us. And we have always, well, at least in the 10 years I've been here, we've been very fortunate to have a strong relationship with our public libraries. We've collaborated on different events, different programs together. If we want to get something like a community forum together, our library is always the first one to step up to say, hey, we'll host. It's a place where people, no matter where you are, no matter what your challenges, your struggles, your successes, the library is a even keel and I guess just check your roll at the door kind of gathering place that is so cool. And it provides so many opportunities for people that want to learn, that want to take that next step in whatever their journey is. And so with that, we wanted to work with the libraries and find a way that folks that perhaps don't get the Gazette, or they don't have access to the Gazette, having it either at home, delivered, or online, we wanted to provide a way that library patrons would be able to consume Gazette news. And so in doing so, Love Your Library is just that. It's, you go to the library, any public library in our region, which is really cool. We have 13 public libraries that are part of this program. You go to the library, and one of the first things that you discover when you get to any of those libraries is that if you want to read the Gazette, you have access to it. So there's hard copy newspapers, or you can hop on one of the computers It's very easy to log in, and each library gives the instructions, and people can read the full digital Green Gazette at the library every day. And it's been huge. It's been a game changer for a lot of library patrons. We meet with the library representatives at least 3-4 times a year, and the feedback that we get is just phenomenal. So there's the access to the Gazette. That's one part of Love Your Library. The second part of it is a PSA campaign that we do with the library to just raise awareness and remind people about the value of a public library, just how important it is for every community to have a public library and what that can do for individuals and families.
Awesome. Let's see. We have United We March Forward.
Yes. Yeah. United We March Forward is another part of our literacy outreach and literacy priority. We work with a nonprofit called United We March Forward, which is a group located in Lynn County, but they serve individuals and families throughout the region. They focus on immigrant and refugee families and individuals that are just relocating to Iowa. They are caseworkers, essentially. I mean, they help these folks that are just landing in Iowa get a home, find a job, drive a car, get a learner's permit, all the things that you need to do, not only in the first 90 days, which as soon as you land in Iowa as an immigrant or refugee, the clock is ticking. You have 90 days to get your ducks in a row as far as a job, a place to live, all these things. And so these folks at United We March Forward are just absolute angels and help make that happen. Once people are settled in, though, there's things obviously that they want to do to grow their understanding of being in Iowa and being in the United States. And United We March Forward offers a literacy course, an English literacy course. And so we partnered with the leaders of United We March Forward to provide Gazette papers every day. 5 days a week, I should say, when they have their literacy classes, because the physical newspaper is one of the most beneficial, accessible ways that for folks that are learning English to start in terms of a curriculum when it comes to English literacy. They do graduate. They certainly still love the paper, but they can also go online. But to have that physical paper to be able to read and discuss and practice English is amazing. It's a twofold. One, it's helping them with their English literacy and being advancing there. But it's also a chance for them to get to understand their community that they just moved into. And that is a win-win. I've had the privilege of going to a couple of the graduation classes. And as a final exam, they choose a topic or an issue that they've been reading about in the Gazette, and they do a presentation in English to their class, which is just amazing.
Yeah, that sounds really great. How long have you been involved in that program?
This is our third year. So this is and one of the other relatively new that has taken off, and it's been an amazing experience.
Do you have any numbers on like how many graduates does that program put out like every year?
Roughly 30 to 40 graduates of the class happen every I guess schedule. I think the class is like 6 to 8 weeks, and so they'll have 30 or so students that graduate every 6 to 8 weeks. They do take a little bit of time off in January and February. So but the demand is there. I mean, that nonprofit continues to grow every day, it feels like. So yeah, so that is certainly another one. Our final one, in terms of just the scope of our community philanthropic initiatives, is newspapers and education. This one has been around for a few years as well. It's probably a little older than Gazette Gives Back. And it's a partnership with area schools, K through 12, where we donate newspapers to classes that are teaching civic courses, social studies. It gives the teachers a lot to work with in terms of curriculum, The really amazing part of this is that it's all about the subscribers as far as how many papers we're able to donate every year. So last year we donated 82,000 newspapers to 48 schools, which is amazing. And for all of you that are Gazette subscribers, because I know you are, if you ever have to pause your delivery on the if you're talking through customer to customer service, they will ask you this question, or if you're doing it online, you'll see it. Do you want to have us hold your newspapers? Do you want to just pause it, or would you like to donate your newspaper to Newspapers and Education? So many people will select just donate my papers to Newspapers and Education. 82,000 to be exact as of last year. So that is a really cool partnership, and we've done a lot of follow up with our teachers, and they really appreciate having those kinds of resources.
That seems just as beneficial as the United We March Forward, where they're getting to use them for their schoolwork, but they're also learning about
Absolutely.
Iowa.
It's a win-win. Yeah. Absolutely. And it gets them connected to us and what we provide in our information. And that's really, I mean, my job, we've been around for 141 years now, and people know us. They know that we're an employee-owned company. They see our employees out in the community engaging. It's not just me. I mean, I'm a community liaison by role, but we have a lot of other folks at the Gazette that are very involved in the community. And this is a way to recognize what we see and what the need is. And again, it's part of our civic promise. It's part of our brand promise, but it's also a way for us to make really strong connections. We've had some amazing opportunities that we didn't even expect, far beyond these programs that I've covered today. Last year, we had a partnership with Eastern Iowa Honor Flight. A group of us got to go to Washington, D.C. And experience working with the veterans that we've been covering, talking about, and working and supporting as a media sponsor over the years. That was an incredible experience, a once-in-a-lifetime experience for a few of us here at the Gazette. And yeah, it could go on, but it's
I was going to ask, why is this important? But I think you just answered that.
I beat you to it. I'm sorry, Sean.
No, you're good. Maybe instead, have you seen the way that the Gazette interacts with the community change at all since you've started here?
I have. I mean, we have a core group of people, that subscribers, community partners, that have they know what we do. They understand the value. There have been some, I'd say, milestone moments. Certainly pandemic, certainly derecho, the flood of 2008. I mean, I was on the community side. I worked for the Economic Alliance at the time during the flood of 2008, and I know how the Gazette stepped up. But since I have been here, it has been a game changer as far as people's understanding of not just providing the news and doing so in a way that is amazing professional journalism. I mean, we have the best journalists in the country. As far as I'm concerned, they are amazing, top notch. So there's that, but there's also that dedication. And I do think that pandemic derecho has broadened that circle quite a bit, as well as us recognizing the 140th anniversary. We did a lot to make sure that the community understood. We've been around for 140 years. We are an ESOP. We are one of the only ESOP employee-owned newspapers, one of very few in the country, and just what it means to have a community newspaper 7 days a week. And so, yeah, I do think that has been a game changer. And as you see in the programs I just covered, I mean, we have had these because partnerships have expanded, and people's understanding of what we can provide has expanded greatly.
Thanks for listening to ESOPOD. If you want to get in touch, send me an email at esopod@foliance.com.